Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where we're taking a look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Whoa, big task.
Huge task.
Are we up for it?
No.
We're going to say all the right things?
Yes.
Are we going to mention the time that Viggo Mortensen broke his foot?
Well, not in this video.
Okay, that's all I had.
We'll have to take that out. Well, look, in case people are wondering, these are the theatrical cuts that we are covering. This is how we first experienced these movies.
That's right, on Boxing Day, day after Christmas, tradition in Australia.
Yep, that's right.
The long 3-year tradition.
Yeah, boy, was it. God, I had a good time watching those movies. What a moment in history, an incredible trilogy, which came out in the middle of a very disappointing trilogy. At the time, the Star Wars prequels have their redeeming qualities, Mason.
Oh, I see what you're saying there. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, leave a like because we're, of course, looking at The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001.
Oh, and tell you what, James.
Yeah.
Having not seen this in a long time, look, and again, I'm not a non-fan of the books.
Sure.
I just try to get through them every couple of years, and I fail. I used to say I try to get through them every year,
Yeah.
but I've dropped off. It's now every couple of years.
Sure.
Soon it'll be once a decade. But, having not seen this movie in a while, tell you what, it was like just hanging out with some old friends.
That's
You know
what
I
it's
mean?
like.
I mean, old friends that are still saying the same old stuff from 20 years ago.
Sure.
But isn't that what hanging out with old friends is like?
I tell you what, Mason, I think this movie and the idea behind a fellowship and a friendship, that's what modern men are missing, right? Forget all that manosphere shit, just these unfuckable dorks telling you how many women to hate.
You're suggesting some sort of Hobbit sphere.
I'm talking...
Can we get that going? Hashtag Hobbit sphere.
We could do that.
It's a little bit hard to say, but it's probably easier to type.
It works. Look, just a diverse group of mates, being good, keeping each other accountable, looking out for each other, doing rad shit, you know?
Getting fake mad at each other, and then they're like, I'm not really mad, I'm doing a big smile, actually.
That's right. This is all good stuff, Mason.
It is.
God damn.
Catching arrows for your bros, you know what I mean?
God, my
Catching
God.
so many arrows.
Big arrows, too.
You think, and it's your bro who you think maybe wouldn't catch a bunch of arrows for you, and then he catches a bunch of arrows for you.
Dude caught so many arrows.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah,
But he's
died.
my bro, though, and he
yeah.
knows it. He knew it at the end, didn't he?
He did, didn't he? So look, the way they got this off the ground is kind of remarkable. So basically the trilogy of books, which is really one big book that they broke up into 3 for commercial purposes.
And for the sanity of people who are trying to read them every 1 to 10 years.
That's right, yes. So that was broken down into a 90-page treatment, and Peter Jackson pitched it as 2 movies because he wasn't having much luck, to Bob Shea, who's the founder of New Line. And Bob Shea was like, listen, this cannot be 2 movies. And they all went, oh. And then he went, but it could be 3 movies.
And they all went, whoa.
And that's what they did. So this is a huge jump for New Line as well, because they'd done like Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah.
TMNT, the original, The Mask, Mortal Kombat.
Just weird, slimy, independent movies. And Peter Jackson had done the movie Bad Taste. That's what I
my
knew.
God.
That's what I knew of him before this. I think when this was announced, I'm like, all right, see how this goes.
You hadn't seen The Frighteners?
Okay, I had seen The Frighteners.
It's underrated. Frighteners is good.
Yeah.
Frighteners is good, Mason.
Good movie.
Anyways, in terms of like sacrifices and changes to the book, there's obviously a lot of compromises that need to be made. Like, there's less Tom Bombadil.
There's almost 0 Tom Bombadil. There's exactly 0 Tom Bombadil.
That's right.
I mean, he's back in the modern day, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
is.
in the TV series.
He's
right?
like, hello, I'm Tom Bombadil, and this is maybe Gandalf. I don't know. I haven't finished that season yet. Look, it's not important. So yeah, less Tom, more Arwen, who gets a pretty beefed up role in this trilogy compared to the book, where it's just like, this is a woman who married this guy, or whatever it is. Yeah. But what I think I like about the world building in this, which you don't get through like exposition, is it's explained through culture and what you see. You get an idea of like what everybody is. Like the dwarves are Minecraft, elves are dolphin slick and sexy, you know? You get
Absolutely.
the idea from just looking at them. And the pre-production of this was absolutely insane. We've covered the Hobbit trilogy and how rushed that ended up being. But Peter Jackson storyboarded the entire thing. They filmed mock-up models with lipstick cameras to figure out like how the shots were going to work. They do things like they'd walk around like the half-built sets like Bag End and just figure out all the blocking. There was previs, which actually Rick McCallum, who worked on the Star Wars prequels, said, why don't you come to Lucasfilm and we'll talk you through our process.
They had to design all those weird angles so that Gandalf looked bigger than the Hobbits.
Oh my God, I want to talk about that.
Well, we're not allowed to.
No, we're not allowed to. So before the 15-month shoot, there was like 2 to 3 years of just like getting everything ready, which is like unheard of. You don't kind of get that lead up often anymore. It's like...
Not at all.
Yeah, your Marvel movie, it's the one that you're directing. We already finished filming it.
That's right.
And this was also rewritten the entire time by Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens.
Well, first of all, how dare they?
Yeah.
Rewrites. On Mr. Tolkien?
Yeah, but like, I feel like the essence of Tolkien is still here. Like, they switch things around. There are characters missing, as we mentioned. Dialogue is given to others. But the way they kind of got around it was the focus is on Frodo, right?
No, the way they got around it is nobody remembers what happens in those books.
Sure, there's that.
Yeah.
And there are people who love the book who don't think that this is like a good adaptation. Nerds, obviously. But I think the way they were able to condense this, it's genuinely incredible.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you know what? You mentioned that, but you know what? It's just got a good vibe.
Oh my God.
Having watched the Hobbit movies fairly recently for this series,
yeah,
those by comparison, they just feel awful.
Ugly.
You know? Ugly, except for that one beautiful dwarf. But
no, I don't even mean it looks ugly. It feels ugly to watch.
Yeah, but that one dwarf.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh.
God.
But yeah, no,
Give me some of that, Mason.
They just feel so cynical by comparison, but this feels so earnest. And this feels so full of life and kind of earnest.
Yeah.
And it's like with The Hobbit, they're just obviously just trying to piggyback off these movies and go, let's force the same vibe. But I don't think you could. You know?
I mean, the adventure alone that they try to kind of beef up in The Hobbit, it doesn't compare. Bilbo's adventure in The Hobbit is bullshit. It's a bullshit adventure for a loser, Mason.
I agree.
Compared to this.
Get some shoes, idiot.
And look, I love the Hobbit book. I think it is incredible. And we have talked about this. Like, if you whittle down those movies, I'm sure, you could get it into one, like, fairly cohesive and, like, fun narrative. But yeah, what they've done here, again, is remarkable.
Also, we have to reckon with the idea that this is a really old movie now.
I guess it is.
We don't think about that,
No, I was at school when this came out. That's how old this fucking movie is.
Yeah.
So I hate in movies, and I've talked about this before, where at the start there's an extended, like, retelling of the lore of the universe. Like Green Lantern does it. There's other examples, right?
No, there's just that one example you said.
But I blame this movie for that because it's so good and so concise. So Philippa Boyens, she wrote this incredible opening, and it just gives you everything you need to know, and glimpses of battles. You see like arrows whipping past Hugo Weaving, and Sauron's just like battering soldiers aside, and you see like his fingers get cut off. Like, it's just phenomenal.
That guy's cool as hell.
He's cool as hell.
I'd follow him into the fires of Mount Doom.
Me too.
He's got that big mace or whatever.
Yeah.
Damn.
You don't reckon he'd smash you with it?
He could. I'd let him do that.
You'd let him, would you?
Yep, I would.
God damn. And I think also, like,
I mean, guard your ring hand, obviously, Sauron.
Obviously.
I mean, this whole thing could have been avoided if you'd simply maybe put that behind your back.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Don't reach out with it.
Get a second glove, idiot.
Yeah.
Get the orcs at Mount Doom to forge you a big iron mitten.
Yeah.
And then you'll be fine.
They do it. They have to. But every section of this movie, it feels so unique and lived in. Like, Hobbit is just wonderful. And it's mostly just dicking around.
Absolutely.
Like, I just love it. And the way they made that place look so real. And after this one, they returned it to what it used to be, and then they had to rebuild it again for The Hobbit. And we talked about this again, but now it's there as is. But the construction on this was a year out, so you could make it feel lived in. So all the grass could kind of grow through the cracks, and it's phenomenal. It's so good. And the design of this movie is just... It's just breathtaking, Mason.
It is breathtaking.
And as
that's
someone
exactly
who watched the 19 hours of behind-the-scenes stuff in preparation for this, which, by the way, if you're a film student or have any interest in film, this is probably the best thing you could look at.
Yeah, how filmmaking used to be.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Before Marvel made all your movies for you. Before they announced that in the future AI is going to create 20 times the amount of content that exists now.
Oh my God, I love that actually.
Me too.
What if The Hobbit, but it was the 80s or whatever? You know,
Oh,
those
hell
kind of
yeah.
videos. Ugh. People complain like when we put AI in these videos, and fair enough, but we just want people to know that when we put them in, it's because we think it looks like shit.
That's
and
right.
we hate it. This isn't an endorsement. This is a thing we fucking hate. So yeah, the design on this started very early on as well, because all of that stuff is in the book. So you don't need to kind of make up the world. It's already there. So they got Alan Lee and John Howe, who have done a whole lot of artwork for this franchise before, just whittling away and, designing worlds. And a lot of that got into this. And the idea behind shooting this, and speaking of, there's like 3 units a day, at least, like running, filming it all, because it's impossible. It took 15 months to film, as mentioned. And at the end of every day, Peter Jackson and the team would look at 3 hours of dailies, like every night, minimum. Soul crushing, Mason. But anyway, Peter Jackson's approach was that we're doing this like it's historical. Like we're going to kind of shoot this.
And hysterical.
And hysterical.
Look at that guy's fingers go flying.
God.
Look at all those little men go flying. This is good stuff.
But it feels like that they're shooting this movie where these events actually happened. And the environment does so much of the work, like the physical environment, that being that they shot most of this outdoors in New Zealand. It's also this like rotting world.
Oh, come on, mate. New Zealand's not that bad.
We got him. We got him, Mason.
Yeah.
But you know, like there was obviously this like enormous kingdom or kingdoms which have just gone to ruin.
Yes.
And we're at the end of this age, like going into a new bad one.
I agree.
Which we can all relate to. I said, I love all of that. And also, you have to make everything. In The Phantom Menace, for example, like Qui-Gon's communicator is like a lady's razor.
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure. Uh-huh.
Which is great. That's really good. That's multi-purpose as well.
That's right.
But in this, even though there's design taken from, you know, different eras and different like civilizations throughout history, you can't be like, oh, these are the Greek guys or whatever.
You can't give somebody just like a medieval broadsword.
No.
Because people recognize it and be mad about it. So you have to design your own.
Exactly. There was also a couple of guys who made chainmail armor, like plastic linked chainmail armor, because it's the only way to make it look real. And apparently they hand stitched together 12.5 million rings for like all of the costumes.
Damn, now those are the real Lords of the Rings.
I agree, Mason. A lot of prosthetics also. Over the 254 days of shooting, like most people have like a prosthetic or wig. Like, and sometimes you wouldn't even see it. Apparently for the Hobbits, 50 of those days you didn't even see their feet, even though they're in there getting them like glued on every day.
Yeah, right.
For hours at an end. Gandalf's nose is fake. John Rhys-Davies had to endure like the Gimli makeup and he had like a horrible reaction to it every time. So he was just like crying underneath that the entire shoot of this movie. It's just, my God, Mason.
But it's worth it for the bros.
It is. And speaking for the bros, you know how they all got Lord of the Rings tattoos together?
I do know that.
Except John Rhys-Davies didn't do it. It was his stunt double.
Oh.
Because I guess he was having a bad time.
Okay, yeah. The thing about his face.
That's right.
Melting off every day.
Yeah. That also happened more recently for 2016 Suicide Squad, but that one is, that's loser shit, I feel.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got the same tattoo as Jared Leto. Terrific.
You talked about size shifting. I've got it cleared by the government. We can talk about it, Mason.
Okay, that's a relief.
There are multiple ways that they did this. Nowadays, it would just be CGI, you shrink down another.
How'd they do it with Bradley Cooper in Dungeons & Dragons? We don't know. I think he can just do that.
He can do that?
He's a good actor.
He is a good actor, and we like that about him. So for each person who plays a character, like the same character, you need 10 costumes. But the way it works is you've got...
Indoors, outdoors, construction worker, cop,
Yep.
Native American.
Yes.
The other village people.
Etc. Yeah. So you've got the main actor who needs 10. You've got their body double who needs 10. There's a miniature costume if they're like a smaller character for a smaller person.
Oh, yes.
That's another 10. And there's a stunt performer. That's another 10 on top of that.
So many costumes.
Yeah, and it has to be the same costume, just scaled up and down depending on the person. So the way that they actually did the size shifting for the hobbits and the dwarf is, so you've got big guys who would stand next to them to make them look smaller if it's the actual actor. You've got little people who you'd see at a distance for like the hobbits and whatnot, so they're size appropriate. They used a bit of CGI to blend the two together sometimes.
Did they ever do that crooked room thing?
Yes, they did. Well,
Yes.
they did face replacement. They also did this incredible thing where they made these huge big guy stilt suits. So in the Prancing Pony, you see like giant dudes walk past them. That's like a guy in a big kind of stilted puppet suit. And also, most famously, as you mentioned, forced perspective.
Yes.
So like Gandalf, when he comes in on the cart and they sit together, there's a distance there. And when they're sitting at the...
Not emotionally.
No, not of course. You can tell that they're doing it together. Yeah. And when they're, when having tea together, there's like a 3-4 foot gap between them.
Yeah. Oh, they would have had to make a little pot of tea and a big pot of tea.
Exactly. And they have to do that for all the weaponry as well. Like, it's insane. So when they're doing the forced perspective trick and the camera is moving, the trick goes away. So you have to have the sets move with the camera to keep the perspective. Phenomenal. Also, they built like 2 sets often. So there's 2 bag end sets. There's like one full size one.
Whoa.
So it makes Frodo look normal size, and then when Gandalf comes in, because he's a bigger man, like there's so much in this.
Do they rent those out as hotels now?
The real one?
Because you charge more for the big one.
Sure.
Or you charge more for the little one.
Yeah, something like that. The real location, which is still there, then you can't go inside. But I'm sure there'd be something in New Zealand where someone would make one and whatever. You could Airbnb it for some stupid price or whatever.
It's agreed.
Anyways, ring wraiths.
Wow.
Horrifying. Spooky stuff. Love that scene on the road where the road goes, ooh.
Yeah, love the chase sequence with
Arwen?
With Arwen,
Yeah.
because it's in the daytime.
It's in the daytime.
Which is it's rare for this sort of thing, because and especially now, because people don't trust special effects in the daytime.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
like, I just set it at night, but it's like, well, you don't want to waste that beautiful New Zealand landscape, do you?
Just whipping through it, mate. I love it. I love all of that. And
I mean, the ring race, they're not fireproof, are they? I mean, a regular man did beat up all of them at once.
yeah, he did.
know?
But he's cool as shit. Let's talk about that guy. So, Viggo Mortensen is...
He was not the original choice.
He wasn't.
It was, don't tell me, it was it Vampire Lestat? Guy.
The second one, yeah.
Yes.
It was Stuart Townsend.
Stuart
That's
Townsend,
right.
there we go.
You're absolutely right. So he did 4 days of shooting.
He was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
He was.
Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
So he was cast very early on that had 4 days of shooting, and there was just this kind of clash. Not a huge kind of problem, but there was this kind of misunderstanding, and Peter Jackson realized
It
this
was like,
wasn't gonna
why
work.
are some of these people so small and some so big? I don't get it, and I don't like it.
I'm Stuart Townsend. But I think in replacing him and having him also be slightly older, because this dude is also supposed to be like 90.
Right.
Aragon has this real vibe of like, thank Christ this dude is here.
Absolutely, yes.
Every time he kind of shows up, there's an edge to him and a grubbiness, but he's just kind of like, I've got it. And if I don't got it, I'll figure it out in the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing you need most in life is someone who knows what they're doing.
That's right.
You know?
My dad.
Yeah.
And mum.
Yeah. Worth their weight in gold.
I love all of Moria, that going through that cavern, big squid at the start. That's good stuff. And the sound design in this. So before all the goblins storm in with the cave troll, the music just rises up. It's Howard Shore, by the way, who's incredible. He worked on this for like 2 years. Normally a composer would do like 6 to 8 weeks, but he was there the entire time. And then he did an extra 30 minutes for the extended cut of this, plus all the other stuff, etc. and so forth. Love all his work. I can't do it justice. So let's just say 2 thumbs up.
And also we can't play any of it because, copyright reasons.
That's
so
right.
Just imagine a good music.
Yeah, that's right.
Here it is.
Yep. So before all the goblins pour in again, like the music swells up and it's dangerous. And as soon as they get in, the music cuts and it's just a fucking massacre. And all you can hear is just like screaming and stabbing. It's so good. And the cave troll is so interesting because it is kind of like sinister and having a good time. But as it's dying, there's a real kind of like, oh, this is like a tortured creature.
We could have been bros.
Could have been bros. And there's even storytelling like in the troll, because the way they designed it is on the front it's all like fleshy and soft, but on the back it's all like rocky and scaly, as if it's been in hibernation, like crouched in a ball.
Yeah,
I
like
love
a rock
that.
lord.
Like a rock lord. And look, there's another big monster in there. Let's talk about that. But Gandalf. So another person who was nearly in this movie was Sean Connery. He was offered $10 million for this film plus 15% of the total gross.
But he's like, no, thank you. I'll wait for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I've been speaking to this Stuart Townsend character, and he seems to think it's a goer.
He's onto something. So he would have earned for this trilogy $450 million.
Damn, because of a little percentage there.
Exactly.
Okay, wow. What use is it to him now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could have given it to us.
Guess he could have, yeah.
Yeah, which is what he would have wanted.
I think so too.
Yeah. But I think Ian McKellen is such a good find, and he really was. He always kind of did well. He was always like he was a Shakespearean actor and did TV and film and all of that. But obviously this and X-Men, like he just exploded. And I think the idea that also like he wasn't super well known works for this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. He also got out of Mission Impossible 2 for this. And Christopher Lee, who actually had met Tolkien, he wanted to play Gandalf.
Right.
And I just don't think...
He's too sinister.
He's too sinister, which is why he's a great Sauron. Very good.
Wait, so Ian McKellen was going to be in Mission Impossible 2?
Yeah, I think he was going to be the Anthony Hopkins role. Something like that, yeah.
Is that not 3? Oh, no, that is 2.
No, that's 2, Mason.
That is 2, okay.
That's 2.
Right.
That's the Aussie one. Yeah.
I was speaking with Dougray Scott and he said, nah, don't take a role in X-Men. Why would you?
It's stupid. It's a stupid movie. But what I love about Gandalf is like he's on the surface, he's just this kind of fuddy-duddy old man who likes fireworks and hanging out with like weird little people and shit.
You can meet a lot of those guys in like a car park in suburban Melbourne.
Totally. So he's that. He gets like pleasure from just being around friendly, nice people. But also
Because
like
he's an inhuman monster.
yeah, well that's the thing.
I didn't know that until the post watching these movies because I never got through the books. But he's not a man.
No, he's not a man.
He's an angel of sorts.
He's like a god and he's beyond dangerous. You very rarely see that side of him. But then when the Balrog shows up, there's just that moment where it's like, oh shit, this guy's like for real. Like he does not fuck around. I love it. It's so good. And I didn't know when I saw this movie because I hadn't read the books at the time, and maybe I still haven't. Who's to say? Right. I didn't know he came back. Right. Like I thought they killed him. Like I didn't know until they spoiled it in the trailer for the next movie.
Sure.
And I think what this movie does really well, more than the other ones, is that this is my favorite one, by the way. Of the three. They're all good. This is my favorite. Is that it has this real balance of hopelessness and hope, and it's always just kind of weaving in and out during these movies.
I mean, it's got that great sense, and it does have a great sense of timing. You never feel bored. It is a 3-hour-long movie, but you never feel bored. There's always just a new bro to bro down with, you know?
New bros. And the way they managed to do that was they filmed so much of this. Like the original cut was like 4.5 hours, but they basically stripped it all the way back to it focuses on Frodo. And if you ever cut away from Frodo, it's something really important.
We're focusing on Frodo.
That's folks. Right. It's like you have to see Gandalf like do a breakdance fight and get captured. Like you have to see that, but they only cut away where it's like, no, you need to know this, or this is a really important character moment. And I think that's why this one works so much. It branches out in the later movies because they split up the Fellowship, so you got to kind of move around. But this one, it's just got that through line, which is why I think it feels so coherent. Anyways, bigatures.
Oh, bigatures.
We've talked about these before.
Okay, yes.
It's basically giant models that they use for anything that's like a tower or a building or a city or a little elf village.
Sure.
And the detail on it means that you can like zoom right in on it. So that's why it looks so real. And then obviously you put the people in it afterwards, either using CGI doubles or you film them on green screen or blue screen plates and insert them in. So that's why they look so good, because they're real. And they're also huge. So Isengard, for example, you know, that the huge tower and then like the surrounding area where
I'm familiar with Isengard.
This is for everybody else, Mason. This is for people who aren't big nerds like you.
He doesn't know that it is for me. I don't know what Isengard is.
It's where the white wizard lives, man. Oh! But like, and you know, the surrounding area where they're cutting down all the trees and that's the size of a rugby oval. Oh. Like that entire thing. And so if you're American, I don't know, that's as big as that bell with the crack in it. I don't know. They're probably the same size, right? That's the size of a rugby oval?
At least that big, sure, yeah.
So that's good. Isengard is also giving birth to the Uruk-hai.
Oh, yeah.
Which are terrifying villains in this. That final battle, I know the battles do get bigger, like movie to movie, but I love this one the most. It feels the most tangible.
Yeah.
I've been to that forest. Like I did a tour through there, and it's just what it looks like.
Did you pick up a big stick that looked like a sword and swing it
around? I ran around with it.
Yeah, right.
Killed a duck.
Met some other dads also swinging their sword sticks.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about Boromir catching all those arrows.
Oh, that's right.
Great job, by the way.
I mean, otherwise somebody would have had to clean them all up from the forest floor.
Yeah, that's right. But I feel like for that character, and what's really fascinating about him is that, because he obviously wants to save, you know, humankind, or specifically his city. And I think the ring is targeting him specifically. So I think it moves like person to person, like depending on who's like the most vulnerable. And I think that's really interesting. And his like redemption arc, I love all of that. And that fight between Aragorn and that one Uruk-hai, it's so scary. And like really dangerous. You know the bit where he blocks the knife with his sword? Like that's real. That happened for real. Organically. And the moment where it's over so quickly, like the way it's just like beheads him and it's just, and then it just stops.
That's how most of my sword fights go. You know, that's real.
You get beheaded.
Yeah. But I'm cursed to constantly come back.
And they're mates and they're holding each other at the end. They're like, you're a good dude. And he's like, I am a good dude. You're a good dude too. Two good dudes.
Yeah, that's right.
Line in the leaps.
And all the others are like, two good dudes. Two good dudes.
Mason, before we do the trivia ship of the trivia, we've got a returning segment.
Oh, what's that?
This is because your loyalty and the loyalty of the watchers and listeners of this has been rewarded. Thoughts and Prizes is back.
Oh, terrific.
So, for those people who don't know, it disappeared for a bit. It's this beautiful segment of the show, and people have been calling for it to return, where I offer you thoughts, just little miscellaneous thoughts I have about the movie, and there's an opportunity at the end to win some prizes.
For me and the listeners.
That's right, exactly.
Okay, terrific.
And it's really exciting, and I'm happy to bring it back.
And are you going to offer any further criteria of what earns you a prize?
That's not really kind of what Thoughts and Prizes are about. It's about the prizes, but also the thoughts.
Interesting, all right. Well, hit us with your thoughts then, James.
Okay, I know people go, why didn't the Eagles take the ring and whatever? Like, we know the answer. It's because
Because Mordor has like a battery of surface-to-air missiles that they purchase from the US government.
That's right.
Which is real in this universe.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they'd get shot down.
Yep. We know that. So, look, I didn't want to bring it up, but somebody would have said it. Hugo Weaving, you should have thrown that dude's ass into the volcano.
Agreed.
Just straight up.
Yeah, you're an elf. You're faster than him. He's stronger than him, probably. Oh, you didn't want to mess up your nails, probably.
Get him in there.
Yeah. Also, the memes that have come out of this movie.
Oh my God.
You know, I bet there are people who have seen this. You know that guy, and he's all no.
Yeah.
He's all no. Or like, all right, keep your secrets.
Yeah,
I bet there are people who have shared those memes. They've never seen this movie. They have
100%.
no idea. You know,
they should watch it. They should watch this movie. That's a great thought, actually. That helps.
Me or the listeners?
It just helps.
Getting prizes?
Just helps.
So I might get a prize this time?
That's always the promise. I also don't really understand, and this isn't in the book, why Aragorn is like worried about like, oh, I've got the same blood in my veins as like my ancestor who didn't throw the ring into Mordor or whatever. Dude, there's like 3,000 years between you. There's barely any of that guy in you like at all. You're absolutely fine. When Gimli says, and my axe, there's a moment just earlier where he shatters one of his axes trying to destroy the ring.
Oh, so everybody in that circle would have been like, oh, so a bad axe. That's what you're offering, is it? One of your poorly made axes?
Well, that's what I mean. I know he has multiple axes, but like he has 2 axes and a bunch of hatchets.
Yeah.
But I guess, does that also mean that like he broke somebody else's axe? Like because his
maybe.
dad was with him, who's in The Hobbit.
His dad's axe?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought to himself, I'll say, and my hatchet, but then he'll have to explain what a hatchet is
good
to a lot of
point.
people, you know what I mean?
You know the bit where Gandalf's like, you shall not pass.
No, I'm not familiar with that very memeable moment.
Okay. I think that thing couldn't have passed regardless. I know like it can fly because it has wings, but even if it flew across, it's not getting out.
That's true, actually, yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe just leave it.
Yeah. Also, Gandalf did have a surface-to-air Stinger missile in his backpack.
That he didn't implement?
No, but he purchased it from the US government.
Yeah, man.
To be clear.
Which exists in this universe. Yeah. Also, my last thought is that Boromir, wash your dirty ass forehead. Just most of the scenes,
grotty,
like, why is your forehead always dirty?
Yeah.
And like across multiple weeks, like with his dirty forehead. What are you doing? Figure that out. Okay, just looking... Entering results.
He's not doing anything.
Oh, hello. No prizes this week, unfortunately. But don't worry, thoughts and prizes will return at some point.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, Mason, it's time for the trivia ship of the trivia.
Oh, I love that.
This is a trivia section of the show. Now, there's so much trivia in this. This is some. And don't worry, I love the comments that are like, fun fact, and then they say a thing. Those are my favorite comments, so keep it up.
Are your favorite comments also the ones that are like, I can't believe you didn't know that?
That's my second favorite comment.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Also, I did know that.
Yeah, we did know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't put it in because your thoughts are boring. And obvious.
Unless it's Peter Jackson in the comments.
Yeah.
In which case.
We love the Frighteners.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This is a fun bit. You know when they're struggling to get through the snow and you just see Legolas, he's just like, or Legolas, whatever, like just walking on top. He's cruising on by.
Bloody in Australia would be called Legless, wouldn't he?
He bloody would
bloody,
be, mate.
bloody.
Yeah.
Too much pipeweed.
Probably too much pipeweed. There is a moment where like Saruman's like, you've been smoking too much Hobbit pipeweed, which is apparently just tobacco.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
Now this is a bit of trivia that only I know because I did that Lord of the Rings thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Apparently Liv Tyler doesn't like horses. So I did a horse tour. Like I rode a horse through this area.
Okay, to prove you're better than Liv Tyler.
Yeah, and I am.
Wow.
And
who's your dad? Is it the lead singer of Aerosmith? Or is it just some guy?
I would rather
who is good at helping you with stuff like changing tires and so forth.
Yeah, I would rather. I mean, you know about that guy.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah.
If I had to choose, I'd choose my dad.
Yeah.
But Viggo Mortensen actually purchased Arwen's horse after production.
And he ate it.
No, it said he gave it to Liv Tyler's riding double, Jane Abbott.
Huh.
So there you go. So Liv Tyler...
She's like, great, what am I going to do with this horse?
My brother, Mason, the one you don't like.
Interesting.
Do you remember when he bought like 20 or 30 Boromir action figures so that they'd increase in value over time?
Oh, yeah. How are they doing?
Here's where they're at. Here's some numbers.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Not well.
You still have them?
Oh, yeah, he's got them.
Of course
He's got a big collection.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson actually originally contemplating having Tom Bombadil appear in a cameo scene where he'd walk past him in a forest with a little feather dart in his cap. And they would have heard him like singing, but then he was like, nah. And he just didn't film it. So he's not in the movie.
Yeah. Interesting.
I get it. He's not like integral to the story. Like if you can take him out and most people are like, who, what? Like I know there's big fans of him out there. I'm not saying that, but like I get it.
Yeah, and I also get the sense from having not read the books, but reading about the books, that Tom Bombadil is he's sort of like he's just intended to be, well, in this fantasy world, sometimes there's just weird guys you can't explain.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not necessary for the story.
No.
How good are all the other Hobbits as well? We didn't really mention them. But Sean Astin.
They're all good, yeah.
All those guys.
I mean, they all get time to shine in subsequent movies. We'll talk about them all, I hope. If they can keep it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep it up, boys.
If they don't let the boys down.
Anyways, in terms of box office, on a budget of $93 million, that's just this one. They obviously filmed all three at once. $93 million for this is very good, by the way. I agree, yeah. I mean, it also, bearing in mind, they did film this in like 1999.
And also, and an era where they planned stuff out in advance. As we've mentioned extensively, they didn't just film it all in the day and go, let's just get some VFX guys to fix it over the subsequent weeks and crunch them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The return on this was $887.4 million.
Well done, everyone.
Huge work, huge return. Big gamble doing this as well. There is a reason studios don't film 3 movies at once.
Yeah.
Because if the first one's bad, you're stuck, you know?
Yeah.
That's why you get 2 Divergent movies and not the third. Now, of course, we will be back to talk about the subsequent movies, but because these are so long...
If you're nice to us. Otherwise, then this isn't coming back. That's right. We're going to have to break it up like we did with the Star Wars prequel. So in between, we're probably going to look at the Lord of the Rings, the official video games related to the movie. Ooh. So there's a Two Towers one and there's a Return of the King one, and those will happen in between. Okay. Because Ben and Lawrence, who are putting these together, my God, they're working hard, aren't they? They are. And they didn't have the lead up that these movies did to get it done. That's true. We're crunching them. We're crunching them. We recorded this badly. Fix it in post. You can do it. Yeah. But also, people might want to see these videos early. Guess what they can if you head over to bigsandwich.co, where they always go up early, but there's also bonus movie commentaries. There's video game Let's Plays we do exclusively also. There's bonus podcasts. We also have a podcast called The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. We're, of course, going to cover the animated Lord of the Rings movie, which is coming out in December. That's right. I'm excited to get back into this universe, Mason. Might be a good thing before we get that Gollum in between quill or whatever's happening. Yeah. Oh, we're going to play the Gollum game? I hear that's great. Maybe at Big Sandwich, actually. Okay, all right. I haven't worked out what that one's going to be yet, but maybe. Okay. All right, thanks, everyone. Grab that, Jeremy, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.